Alright, I think I'll just watch the video. Okay. Now, for today's class, I'm going to do what we call two things. Okay. The first thing will be the discussion of the tutorial one, and then the second one will be on the project planning that we have submitted today. Okay, and some of you haven't submitted yet. Okay, and some of you did that. Okay, thank you very much for those who have already given me the planning and the as well as the tutorial. I'm going to share content. Okay, tutorial one. Okay, so this is your tutorial, and out of 61 students, if I'm not mistaken, I think less than 10 have not submitted the tutorial, and some of them are missing, some of them submitted a bit late than the due date. Okay. Now this is the questions, and I purposely choose this question because it requires your understanding on the subchapters that we have discussed before. Okay, that will include from the beginning of the discussion, early of the semester, right after what you have done through the video. Okay. Now the question is the speed in kilometer per hour of 30 cars on the Changlun Kuala Perlis highway was recorded as follows. Okay, so you have what we call this data. Okay, so you have 30 data, and this is what we call first-hand data. And we can see obviously that this data is not being organized in the sense of table form or whatsoever form. Okay, so this is what we call raw data. Okay, can everyone clearly listen to my voice? Is it okay?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. Now, okay. Let us begin with the first construct a stem and leaf plot. Okay. So I have for these questions I have first sample. Okay. Let's look at the first sample. Now the question, I'm not going to go back and forth because I believe that you have your textbook with you. And I figure out some of you still don't have your textbook with you. And in fact, some of you have the first version. Okay. So the first version and the current text version will be quite a lot difference in terms of the materials as well as the questions in the tutorial. So I hope those who have not the latest textbook can can quickly order the book. Okay, because for chapter 2 until chapter 5 we are solely depending on the book, because every material for the chapter 2, 3 and 4, 5 as well will be solely based on the textbook. Okay, if you don't have your textbook with you, I'm afraid you might have some problem, because when you have the textbook, every material is being focused to the one that you have put in the textbook. So that will be considered for your quiz and test. Okay, so let us look at the first question. So I have few samples. Okay, I have few samples. Oh my goodness, okay. Hold on, I accidentally closed the. Okay, the question asks you construct a stem and leaf plot. Let us look at the first answer that I get from your friends. Okay, now this is sample number 1. Okay, so for sample number 1, okay, I would like to comment on the way the stem and leaf plot is being what we call okay. Everyone can see the slide, right?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay. Okay, let us look at the first question. Stem and leaf plot. For the first sample, what happened is that for this particular, what we call, if possible, for stem and leaf plot, if you have this particular, what we call, setting for your leaf, okay, because we know that this is the stem, okay, for this part, and the rest of the details will be the leaf, and the leaf will be refers to the last digit of your data. Okay, so the stem will involve the rest of the last digit. So if you have, like say, 100, okay, so this will be your leaf, and the rest will be the stem. Okay, so if you have 80, then you will have this particular division. Now, for this particular case, it becomes a bit unorganized because the column is not equally distributed. For example, if you have this particular setting, then this one should follow this. Okay, let us look at the second sample. Okay, for the second sample, okay, even though the second sample have what we call similar column width, okay, but the width itself is too large, and the stem will a bit awkward. Okay, seems to be a little bit awkward. So let us look at the third sample. Now, if you look at the third sample, it becomes neat and concise. Okay, so you can see clearly the distribution of your data beginning from the smallest value, that is 84, until the largest value, that will be 112. So if you can see clearly, you can imagine the distribution of your data, how it will be distributed. Now, that will be third sample. Okay, fourth sample also quite okay, and then the fifth sample also okay. Okay, now first question would be easy. Now look at the second question. Using the plot, okay, using the plot, calculate and interpret the mean, median, mode of the car speed. Okay, using the plot, calculate and interpret mean, median, and mode for the car speed. So how would you know? Now, let us go back to the what we call the plot, stem and leaf plot. How would we know what would be the mean, mode, and median? Because the question will be based on the plot. How would we know? Some of you did not use the plot. In fact, some of you, for example, the first sample, the student calculate directly using the Excel. Okay, you can always give the answer. Okay, the answer will always correct, but in terms of the method, so it will be deducted. But in terms of answer, yes, you are correct, because the answer will always be the same. For example, the second sample. So for this case, I'm going to select selected sample only, because if I were to choose as all submitted tutorial, it will be a bit big. Okay, for the second sample, okay, so I believe the answer for the second question, second sample would be using this one, also using the Excel. Okay, now let us look at this sample first. So if you were to find the mean, so this will be the mean, mode, and median. And for the third sample, okay, now I'm not sure how this student calculate, but since the answer is directly from the what we call the first question, so I believe he will use the plot, or he may use the Excel as well. But it's okay. Okay, question number 2 also using the Excel. Excel. Sample number 5 using also the Excel. What if we were to use the plot? How would we know? How many data do we have? We have 30, right? So what will be the median? So the median will be the 50th data. So where will be the 50th? Okay, so if you were to count, so you have 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so if you are going to, it would be between 15 and 16. Okay, so this is your 15 and this is your 16. So can we check? Okay, number 15 and 16. So I get over one value. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Come, now 15 is 99. But here, 15, can someone help me? Is it too small? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this student got wrongly. I think the student wrongly what we call plot the pen. Okay, so let us look at the second sample. Okay, if we okay, if you were to look at this, okay, am I going to get the same result? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15. Right. Can someone help me? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. See? The first sample and the second sample got wrongly. I'm not sure which one is correct. Let us look at the third sample. Okay, the third sample would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this the same with the second sample. So let us use the second sample, assuming that it is correct. Now, in this case, your mean would be, your median would be 100. In this case, the median is 100. Because the data the input data is wrong. Okay, the median is 100. It should be 99 here. Okay, what happened if this is the case? Then I believe this is the one that is wrongly done. Okay, because if for this one, the data is based on the input data. So let us assume that we look at the mean, mode, median given from your calculated one. But if you have what we call your tests or quizzes, usually if the what we call the direction wish you to use the plot, then it will be based on the plot. Okay, so it should be based on the plot. So since there are some what we call differences between the stem and leaf with the data, okay, let us use the data. Okay, so we know that the mean is 102, the median is 100, and the mode is 99. Okay, now the reason why using the plot, okay, because it should assist you when you have your plot, stem and leaf plot, you know when will be your 50th, okay, and the position of your 50th would be your median, and you will have to find your bar, X bar, and then you will have to find your mode. Okay, so let us just based on this particular value, the mean is 102, the median is 100, and the mode is 99. So do we have differences between different answers? So almost the same with second sample. Third sample, median is 100, mode is 99, the same. Sample 5, the same. Sample 1, also the same. So I guess the Steinmetz plot is the one that is wrongly plotted. Okay. Now, third question. Okay. Calculate and interpret. Sorry. Now, the question asks you to calculate. Now, you have done your calculation. So, you should have your mark for this, for the calculation. But you have the second question that will be interpret. So, how should you interpret? Based on my what we call skimming through the overall tutorial submitted to me, I think for RK24 I couldn't find any what we call interpretation of your answer. Okay, so this is sample 4. Just stop at this particular answer. The same with okay, but for yes, the same. For sample 3 also the same, you don't give your what we call interpretation. So how should we interpret? Okay, let me use this particular sample. How should we interpret in terms of this particular data? Interpret. The first one is your mean. Okay, how should we interpret the mean for this particular data? What data that we are talking about, class? Can someone tell me what is the data is all about? Class? Class? What is the data, class? Hello? Class? Please answer me. I'm not going to proceed if you don't answer me. What will be the data given to you? Hello? Can someone tell me what is the data is all about? Class?
Speed of car.
Yes, the speed of car. And how many of them? It's 30 cars that we collected. So how do we interpret the mean? So for the mean, you should interpret the mean average, the mean speed. The mean speed in kilometer per hour for all the 30 cars is what? The mean is 102.1 kilometer per hour. So this is how you should interpret the mean. And it looks very simple, but somehow many of you will disregard this because your concern is only to calculate. What about the median? Okay, how should you interpret the median? Can I have someone to try for the median? Can someone? Class? Hello, class? The median speed kilometer per hour for all 30 cars is what? 100 kilometer per hour. Okay. And the third one would be would you interpret how many How many will have 99? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. How should we interpret? So the mode, okay, the mode, you can simply say the mode, just copy the same exact answer. The mode speed of all 30 cars is what? 99 kilometer per hour. Or you can say most, or okay, the most frequent speed among 30 cars is 99 kilometer per hour. Okay, so that's how you should interpret your result. Okay, the same when you think about your project. We don't only look at the number. You can always calculate. The calculation will always be very easy. But how you should interpret will go back to your understanding of the problem that you are trying to study. Okay, so any question, class, for the second question? Now, third question, what can you say about the distribution of the car? Explain your reason. When you have this particular what we call question, definitely you will go back to the answer that you have in your previous question. So your previous question will, the first referring to your standard plot. And your second one is based on the value of the measure of central tendency. That will be the median, the mode, and the mean. Now, when you answer this particular question for this third Roman, okay, what can you say about the distribution of the car speed? So means that you are trying to understand how the distribution of the car speed among all the 30 cars that you are collecting. So let us look at the first sample. Okay, by flipping the stem plot to the side, the long tail towards the right hand, the distribution is skewed to the right. Okay, I cannot say this is wrong, but if I were to correct it, so I would say the distribution is approximately. Okay, approximately, okay, skewed to the right, which is right. Okay, the second one. For the second sample, third question, the distribution right skewed because, yes, this is another answer that we are looking for. Instead of using the stem and leaf plot, so what happened, you can use the value of your MCP. Because if we know that the distribution of the MCP, if it is skewed to the right, we know that the mean will always be at the largest value. So that will be the mean, followed by the median, and followed by the mode. Okay, so in this case, you have X mode will be smaller than your median, and your median is smaller than your mean. Okay, so very good. Okay, what about the second, third sample? So the third sample, the distribution of the car speed is skewed to the right, okay, because the mean is larger than the median. So if this is the case, if we have what we call a stringent schema, okay, so this might have half mark, okay, because if you were to comment on this, you should involve the mean, the median, and the mode, all the MCP, okay. What about sample number 4? Okay, so sample number 4, yes, I have the sample, I didn't see. This is good. Okay, the mode is 99 because it's the highest frequency also can. So question number 3, the distribution of the car speed is almost symmetric. So I'm not sure how this student is what we call proposing for symmetric distribution, whereby you can see clearly this particular distribution of your data. Okay, so this is wrong. This is because the length of the whiskers, but now how can you say about the whiskers whereby you don't have the box plot? Okay, so the way you use your reason should be based on the things that you have shown before. Okay, it's either from the second question or the first question. So in this case, it will be wrong. Okay, what about sample number 5? Sample number 5, the distribution is skewed to the right because the mean is larger than the median. So I guess this student, sample number 5 and sample number 3, they discussed together and they got the same answer. Okay, so that will be question number 3. What about question number 4? Calculate the range, variance, standard deviation. Use Microsoft Excel for calculation. Okay, so in this case, let us look at the first sample. So you need to find the range, variance, standard deviation. So in this case, we are referring to the table again. Okay, so you have here the range, the variance, the standard deviation. Okay, so range, variance, standard deviation. Now the question asks you using Excel calculate the range. Okay, then it should stop here. So the range is 38 because we know maximum minus the minimum will get 38 here. The variance is based on the calculation of your ungrouped data. So using your what we call ungrouped data, so everything will be calculated based on the unorganized data. The same with the standard deviation. Now, let us look at the second sample. I guess everything will be the same. Second sample also using Excel. Third sample also. So here is your third sample, fourth sample. Okay, and then the fifth sample. Now, can someone explain to me what does 10.85 means? Can someone please explain to me? We know that we are talking, for this part, we are talking about the measure of dispersion. Measure of dispersion. Okay. Now, we know that range is based on the minimum value and the maximum value, the simplest one. But sometimes we may have to choose whether to use the range. Or the next one will be the variance, and the third one is the standard deviation. Class, can someone comment on to me what is standard deviation means here? Try, class. Try, someone please. Class. Class, we know the X bar is just now is 102, right? 102.1. Now, tell me what about this standard deviation? What does it mean? What does this 10.85 mean? Class? Class? Can someone dare to try? Am I alone here? Muhammad Izzuddin, please try. Can you listen to me? Am I talking alone here, class? I'm not going. If this teaching and learning will not be successful if this is the way I explain to you, because I'm the one who did. Okay, okay. Can someone please try? What does this 10.86 means? it is skewed to the right, right? So let me catch it again. Now, can someone comment, please? What does standard deviation mean? What did I tell you about standard deviation? What does the video tell you about standard deviation? In fact, I have discussed this with you in the last week tutorial. The simplest would be what? It will be if you have your data, your distribution. So of course you will have different data for your data set. So what happens is that this tells you in standard form how much your point is deviated from this particular middle point to MCT your X bar. So how does it spread from the center to the left and to the right? So this is what is being felt by 10.86. Standard means that regardless of what data that you have inside. So it will describe the distribution. Whereby if you compare to your range, it will basically based on one value that is here, the minimum value and your maximum value. Okay, if you are talking about the variance, you have not square root the value of your distribution here. Okay, so most of the time we will use standard deviation to describe the distribution of your data from the middle value. Okay, now let's look at fourth question, sorry. This is the fourth question, fifth question. Using the plot, calculate the first and third quartile and interpret the value. Okay, using the plot. So what plot? I believe this would be, if this is the case, so it will be, it's either your stand and you plot, okay, or your sketch distribution of your this particular one, this one. Okay, this one. So if you base on the plot, okay, based on the plot, so let me find a clean one. Okay, if you base on the plot, okay, so if you are talking about the fifth one would be using the plot, calculate the first and third quartile. So your first quartile would be what? So if you have in a line, so you will have this 50% here and you will have 50% here. And from this 50%, you will have 25% here and 25% here. The same goes to the next part. Okay, so what happened? So what happened if you divide them into first and third quartile? So if you're talking about first and third quartile, so this is your first quartile and this is your third quartile. Okay. Now, how do we find this? By using the plot. Okay, what we call, we have 30 data, so means that the median, the Q2 would be the 50th and what we call the 60th, right? So it would be between the two. Okay, it between the what we call this particular value. So if we base on this particular stand and we plot, if let's say, okay, assuming that the plot is correct, okay, so you will have, so it will be your Q2, your Q1, and your Q3 would be in what class? So you have 15. You have 1 until 15. So what will be the middle value inside here? Let us forget about the Excel output. What is the value, the middle value for first 50% here? Can someone give me the value? It will fall exactly on a value or in between two value class. First, the median. Can someone tell me? For this Q1, is it fall and on a value or between two values? Class?
Exactly on.
Okay, that would be on with number. The 8th value, right? Am I correct? So for 16th until 30, so it will be what? Q3. What value here?
24.
24. So let us look at the plot. So based on the plot, we are looking for the 8th value. So let's say this is the first, second, third, fourth. Can we start here or should we start here? A or B? Should we count here the 5th or should we count here the 5th? A or B, class? Can you understand my question? So if we were to try to figure out the 8th value, so should we continue from here or from here? From A or from B? Class, I need a very responsive students for my class because if not, it would be very slow. If not, I'm the one who do the talking. I don't want that to happen because you are not going to think based on your thinking. It would be based on my thinking. Can someone comment? So your next 5th value should be from A or from B? Class. Class, please. It's already 2:10, okay? I'm going to do the project planning for the second hour. Please,
B.
hurry up. Why B? Why B? Why B? Because if we start from B, it will be 92. If we start from A, it will be 99. We don't want to skip the data that we have according to the data set. So it should be, so it will be the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, the 8th. So your first quarter would be what? 94. Okay, your 24th value would be what? Would be what here, class? 24th value. Can someone give me the answer? Can someone give me the answer? Hello? What is the value here? 24th data? Data will be what, class? I almost give up with you, class. What was that?
109.
109. 109. Is it correct? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is the 8. This is the 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Is it 109, class? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is it 109 or 110? 109 or 110. Which one, class?
110.
110. It should be the 8 from this particular value. So it should be here. So this one is wrong. If you base on the plot, so this is your answer. Okay? Because we are talking exactly for the raw data. If you are using your what we call calculation from your Excel, so this will be the value. Now, if you go back to your what we call instruction, it is clearly say using the plot, interpret the value. Okay, using the plot, interpret the value. So what? So the first comment will be based on the plot. So if you base on the plot, you will get your exact data for your answer. Okay, exact data for your answer. But if you are using your Excel calculation, then this is your answer. Okay, so if we were to be in the test or exam, so this is the correct answer. And this is the wrong answer because we need to base on the equation. Now, what does this mean? What does this mean? We are talking about the median of the first 50% of our data, this one. And for Q3 is the median for the upper 50%. How can we interpret this particular answer? Class. If I were to answer this, let me give you for this one. So the median speed for the first 50% of all 30 cars is 94 kilometer per hour. So this is how we interpret the what we call the answer for the median of the first 50% for time. Or you can say the median for yes, this is the correct one. Okay, what about this one? How can you interpret this? Can someone try? The first or the lower? I think better put lower. Huh? Lower. So what will be the interpretation for 110 class? Hurry up, please. You can just follow this particular answer. Class. Class. Class, please. I feel like to finish the class. I don't want this kind of attitude. Please hurry up.
The
I'm
median
about to
speed
lose my
for
temper.
same.
The median speed for the
Upper 50% tu.
The median speed for the upper 50% of all 30 cars is 110 kilometers per hour. It's not that hard, right? I think it's just a simple one because I have given you the sample of the answer. So if this is the way you do the online learning, I'm sure that all of you are not learning. Okay? And you know what? Sometimes I don't want to share the video of the class because those who are not paying attention in the class will just simply, if necessary, they will look at the video. Otherwise, when the online class is on, they just sit there and look. Or just open the online and then the student is not there on. If this is the learning that you are doing for this class, I'm sure that you are going to fail for this class. I know the assessment for project 1 is only project for first chapter. But please, make sure you know how to interpret. The interpretation is in chapter 1, is on how we start doing the interpretation. I never lose temper. Okay. So if you look at the other sample of the answer for question 4, okay, you can look at your own answer and you can see whether you are right or wrong. Okay. Even though I say you can use Excel, but the question clearly say use the plot. Okay, statistic is not about it's okay. No, statistic is about precision. If you're talking about plot, so everything is about plot. If you're talking about figure that you calculate from your raw data, it's from your raw data. If the figure should be calculated from your group data, it should be based on the group data. If the source is already wrong, whether your answer is correct, everything is wrong. That is statistic. We are not talking about mathematics, where you have all the calculation. You can apply any theorem, any what we call formula, and you get the value. But statistic is not about value. Statistic is about interpretation. Okay, so you can look at the rest of the what we call answer that you've given me. Okay, you can see everything is based on the calculation from your Excel. So it will not be correct. Okay, so the last question. Construct a box plot by using the 5 number summary. Okay, so for this one, I think everyone is doing well. So based on the video, I believe everyone can do. Okay, and the simplest way to see whether you are correct or wrong, we are going to base on the first value, maximum value, minimum value, the first quartile, the second quartile, and the third quartile. Okay, but since the what we call the 5 number summary or the box plot is based on the calculation from your Excel, so everything will be based on the exact calculation from your Excel. So I don't see any problem with the what we call box plot that everyone have done. Okay, so for second sample also, I think no problem. Okay, the same with the third sample. Okay, third sample. It's just that for the third sample, you do the box plot. Different what we call vertical and horizontal compared to the previous box plot. Okay, so I guess this one is much better because we put all the value for Q1, Q2, Q3. Okay, so there will be no problem for question number 6. Check whether there is an outlier or not. Comment the skewness of the data. Okay, so if you look at this particular question, so you have the first one is to check whether there is an outlier or no, and the second one will be the skewness of your data. Let's begin with the first what we call sample. Okay, now for this particular sample, the outlier is based on 1.5 from the minimum value. Okay, so this is the minimum value. And you have the second one is for the maximum value. So for this one class, we have 2 types of what we call outlier. Can you name me what types of outlier we can have for our data class? What are the 2 names of 2 types of outliers that we may have? What is the first types of outlier?
Upper bound and lower bound.
That is not outlier. I mean type of outlier.
My type or the extreme one?
Yes, it's mild outlier or extreme outlier. Okay. So for mild outlier, you will be based on the plus minus 1.5 Q3. For extreme outlier, you will be based on 3 Q3. Okay, plus minus 3 IQR, sorry, not Q3. Okay, IQR. Okay, so in this case, for this particular sample, we are talking about mild outlier. Okay, and we have got what we call, now you are talking about the if, so let's say you refer to your, the box plot is too small. Okay, if let's say you have any data, so the fence will be, okay, the fence, so let's say this is your lower fence, and this is your upper fence, and your lower fence is 71 and upper fence is 153. So look at your data. Do you have lower value than 71? So based on your data, you don't have any value lower than 71. Do you have any value upper or above 133? So look at your data, the maximum is 122. So in this case, so assuming that your IQR is correct, okay, hopefully the calculation is correct. So in this particular sample, no data is over here and no data is over here. So there is no outlier because there is no data less than 71 and no data more than 133. So the box plot skewed to the right. Okay, so this is the first sample. The second sample. Okay, for the second sample, where is the answer? For question number 7. Where is number 7? The 7. Okay, the IQR here, the IQR is 15.5. Okay, the same. So no outlier, but no description. So most probably you won't have any marks for this one. Okay, no marks here. Okay, because you don't put your interpretation. What about sample 3? For sample 3, you only say there is no outlier without any basis because the question asks you whether there is an outlier or not. Okay, so in this case, in fact, for the second question also, no outlier considered correct because it does not ask you for what we call interpretation. Okay, the data is skewed to the right because Q2 until Q3 is larger than Q2 until Q1. Okay, you are talking about the box here, right? So acceptable, but this one is just enough. For sample 4, okay, also the same, no outlier, and you give reason. Sample 5, no outlier, skip to the right. Okay, finish with the question. Do you have any question for question 13? Stop sharing for a while. I need to see how many. Okay. Yes. Any question?
Doctor, may I ask a question?
Yes.
For outliers, is it better to check the line or the box first?
You mean let me find the box, nice box like this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we
you
look
mean
at
this
a
one?
line or the box first?
No, it will be the minimum value and the maximum value. And then, but your IQR, where is your IQR? This is your Q1. This is your Q3. So your
Yeah.
IQR will be the length here. So what happened is that because your calculation will be based on your IQR, whether if you have 1.3 IQR, it will be here, minus 1 minus 3 IQR, so it will be here. So if you're talking about your plus 1.3, sorry, 1.5, this is 1.5 IQR. So you will have another fence that will be your plus 3 IQR. This is your upper outer fence. This is your upper fence. This is your lower fence. This is lower outer fence. So how do you check your outlier? Look at your data. Find where your data lies between this particular region. So if your data lies, the minimum value is here or the minimum value is here, so it will be still no outlier. If based on the calculation of your IQR 1.5 or 3 IQR, if it is here, so this is mild outlier. So if it is beyond the lower outer fence, let's say this here, so this is what we call extreme outlier. Okay, the same goes here. Mild outlier, here extreme outlier. Okay, so that's how we interpret whether you have your outlier or not. Any other question? Any other
Doctor,
question? Yeah.
if we were to construct the box plot, it is better for us to label the quartile. I mean, for the first quartile, second quartile, third one.
It it is okay not to label. Okay, it is okay not to label because the value you have your calculation in your spreadsheet. But just to have more precise, you can put the label. It's okay, but we understand. We are talking about the 5 number summaries where we have the minimum value, the first quartile, the second, the median, the third quartile, and then your maximum value. So it is understood based on the box plot, you know which one is which. Okay, but if you have label, that is an extra. It's okay. Okay, any other questions?
And one more thing, if there is an outlier, then should we show where's the outlier lies? Like we put a dot or something.
Yes, you can ask the Excel to plot where the data, specific data for your outlier. Okay, but in your case, I think this achievement is good enough. If you can draw your own what we call 5 number summaries or box plot, it's good enough for you, because this particular what we call analysis is the basic analysis that you will do whenever you have data. Okay, and in this case, data that you have is what we call raw data. And then from your raw data, you will get your calculation. And if you are talking about your objective of your calculation, so the question given here is your objective. So see how each question becomes the objective of your what we call analysis. And I wish you can relate this particular understanding with your project 1. You got your data, okay, as this one. But what are the things that you wish to highlight the importance of this particular data that you have in hand? And how you are going to highlight them, graphically or numerically? So if you go back to your what we call Excel output, this is how Excel help you out. And for chapter 1, for your assessment, it will go back to your understanding of how you use your Excel. So in my case, I use Excel. My friends, some of them use SPSS, some of them use Minitab. But for my case, I use Excel because it will be easy for everyone to access Excel because it is readily available in your window. Okay, so I hope I answer your question. Any other questions regarding this?
Doctor,
Yes.
doctor.
Yes.
If did not order all the venues, do we lose marks on that?
No, it's okay. That's the process of how you do your what we call that's the process when you have your primary data. Okay? Unlike your project one, you have your secondary data. Your data is no longer, let me find the clean data. Okay, let us use this one. This one is what we call raw data. It's not being organized yet. Unorganized data. When you have this unorganized data, what happens is that you want to understand your data. So what would be the best thing to do first? It will be ordering your data. Put the order, because we are talking about ungrouped data. Everything should be in order so that the median, the way you find the median, you will be based on the ordered data. So that will be an advantage for you when you organize them. And from this, you can come up with Stanley plot. In fact, you can come up with your table to represent your data. Okay, and you can have your table. So if I transform into what we call group data, what do I have here? It will be still speed. Okay, but it will be in terms of what we call boundary. Okay, it will be, let's say, 84 to let's say 80 to 85, 85 to 90, and you will have the rest of the boundaries for your data, and you will have the frequency. Okay, so how many of your data is between 80 to 85? So since we have 85 here, so 85 will go into second, this one. So we have only one here. What about 85 until 90? 85, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 3 only. Here 3. Then you continue. So what happened, class? You have to imagine from the transition of the ungrouped data to group data, what you have to lose from the in terms of the originality of your data. Okay, now your project one is based on this. So your project one is something that you have to think beyond in terms of how to describe your original data. Okay, now any more questions regarding this particular tutorial, question 13? Any more questions? If no, I would proceed to discussion of project.
No, for me.
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, let us look at the first what we call. Okay, now can you see this particular data in Microsoft Word? Can you see this, class?
Yeah. Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Okay, okay. This is the first what we call first sample project that I think good for me to share. Okay, because this group has come up with I think good what we call approach on how to do the project. Now, when you have project to be done, okay, class, what matters first is the title, and that title will reflect your the things that you are doing in the project. Now, for this particular example, okay, this student is using data from domestic consumption of oil and gas 2007 until 2019. So this project is being done by Sheikh Muhammad Naim and Muhammad Hafiz. Okay, so this is the what we call secondary data that they choose. Now, when you have your data, what happens is that look at every what we call items that you have inside your data. Okay, for example, okay, in this case, I have my first column, and my first column, I should understand it refers to what? Okay, for domestic consumption of oil and gas. So there are two things that this data give, oil and gas. And from this particular, what we call list of oil and gas, okay, if I'm not mistaken, the only gas data is this one. Okay, this the only gas data, and the rest is for oil. Okay, so in this case, class, okay, before you begin your project, please understand your data first. Now, the source is the Ministry of Energy. But where? Is it Malaysia? Is it Singapore? Is it Brunei? Because I have mentioned your data is either from Department of Statistics Malaysia or Department of Statistics Singapore or Department of Statistics Brunei. But here is which one? Okay, so what would I do? I will search. Okay, before I can go to the what we call the comment of this particular project, I will search. Okay, so what happens is that if you have this particular data, okay, what happens is that if you are talking about the title, you need to understand what your data is telling you. Now, this group come up with the petroleum consumption by Brunei citizens from 2015 until 2019. Now, my comment is, if you wish to, what we call, okay, if you wish to have this particular, this particular title, what happened is that you only discuss about petroleum. Okay, gas you left out. Yes, means that you only talk about petroleum. Next, you are talking about Brunei. Okay, you are talking about Brunei Ministry of Energy. Brunei. So Ministry of Energy. Okay, so why I'm saying this? Let us see later. Let us look at the title first. Now, the third one, you are talking about 2015 until 2019. Means that your analysis will cover from 2015 until 2019 for all of your objectives. So I need to check. Let me look at your objective. Okay, what is your objective? Now, the objective, okay, to investigate the consumption of shell fuel of citizens of Brunei. My question is, are you sure the data refers only to shell fuel? How would you know? Because your data does not tell anything about shell. Am I right? No talking about shell unless you dig from your data any what we call website about the petroleum of Brunei. Because if you're talking about shell, you're talking about the whole data set is from shell fuel. I believe Brunei would have other than shell. Okay, if Sheikh Muhammad, what was the name just now? If Sheikh Muhammad Naim is around, or Muhammad Hafiz is around, if you want to comment, so please comment. Okay, if you are talking about shell fuel, means that you are assuming all the data. Which data? This data is from shell fuel. Okay, so which is a big question mark. because I believe for Brunei, so I think they will collect the data for regardless of any what we call company. Okay, assuming that there are more than one petroleum company in Brunei. So go back to your project. Okay, now you are talking about fuel. Okay, fuel, you say the objective on petroleum, fine. Do you have any other objective that relate to gas? Now you see, you talk about gas, but somehow in your topic gas is not included. So please be sure, if you want to include gas, then make sure your topic include gas. Okay, so it should include gas and gas. Should I include the year? You can always erase the year. No need to put in your title, because title should be short and concise. Okay, petroleum consumption. I would use, for example, you can change to investigation of petroleum and gas consumption in Brunei. Okay, so that would be short and concise title rather than for petroleum consumption by Brunei citizen. Okay, because Brunei, you are talking about citizens in your background. Okay, so please be short and concise about your topic. So in this case, you may come up, okay, an investigation of petroleum and gas consumption, or you can use the word in your data set, investigation of oil and gas consumption in Brunei. That's it. As simple as that. No need to put year, no need to put citizen. Okay, so please make sure anything that reflect your topic should be covered in your objective. Okay, so I have commented, need to be improved. In the objective, gas also included. So you cannot say petroleum. Okay, so the years 2000 can be eliminated. Okay, let's look at the project background. Now, I would like to congratulate this team because they have come up with what we call a very, not to say correct, but a good start of making project background. Because project background is where you tell your audience about your project, everything about project in brief. Okay, it's about the I didn't put here. Okay, it should give you the idea where the investigation is being carried out, for what year. So you can put the years inside your project background. You can focus and you can mention about the petroleum and gas that become your focus in your project. And then you can include the year. So this is the content. Okay, this is the year. Okay, and then what else should you look into is basically if your data is being described in 1000 meter cube, so please make sure this is included in your background. Because why? Because this data itself to represent a yearly data is impossible. Okay, because how come the whole Brunei citizen only use 213.3 meter cube of petroleum for RON 97? So it is impossible. So you have to mention about the 1000 meter cube for all the data included in your data set. So what important when you describe your project, so you should include somewhere what we call suitable. Okay, I put it, yes, here. Somewhere suitable that your data, okay, reflect the 1000 meter cube. Okay, so that your audience will have the idea of, okay, fine, the data that I have in my analysis, for example, this one, okay, is actually 213,000, sorry, 2132.00. Okay, and if you are talking about this one, this would be multiplied by 1000, it would be berapa tu? Okay, it will be 9,800 meter cube. So it is important for you to justify everything. So the detail of your project, okay, your background should tell all details about your project. But make sure does not include points for what we call description, data description. So just to make sure it won't be redundant. So this one will be catered by your data description, but your project background just tells about the what we call the background that your audience should know all about your project. Okay, so what happened here, you might have to Google search about your what we call data, okay, related to Brunei. Okay, just get some idea what happening in Brunei. Okay, any question here, class? It's raining, heavily raining here. So I hope the class is not being interrupted. Any question, class?
I don't. I have
Yes.
few questions about the data set, but maybe you did explain for that, but I just come and confirm. For all of our data set, actually, what some of our data set doesn't have the data source. Do doctor know that?
Yes, I know.
So for data
Yes,
set,
I know.
for data set who doesn't have the data source, are we going to go and search by ourselves?
Okay. Okay, what happened is that if you are talking about your data set, I know some of you may not have your source of your data, but some of your data reflect the place of your data collection. For example, I just choose one. Okay, worst case scenario, if you don't know, for example, this one, I don't, it has some notes here. Okay, in fact, this one, I don't think the source is available. But for this particular case, okay, what happened is that the source is, can be simply said from Department of Statistics Malaysia. That's it. So when I say the source, you have to choose. Just assuming based on your data, for example, if this one clearly it is from Department of Statistics Malaysia. Let's say we look for another data, aircraft movement passenger. Okay, now the aircraft movement passenger is from the Civil Aviation Ministry of Transportation and Info Communication. What happened is that I can copy this, okay, and find from your Google search, okay, where does this coming from? Okay, so this one you can go and it clearly turn out that it is from your Brunei Department of Statistics. This is how we look. But somehow, worst case scenario, if you don't have this, okay, and you, based on the what we call value inside your data, you don't even know, okay, then ask me directly. WhatsApp me or Telegram me, okay, how can I decide where is the source of this data? Okay, because somehow you need to mention where is your data can it coming from. Does that help you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I will try and search by
Okay.
myself first, and then after that, if
Oh,
I
yeah.
still
Okay.
cannot, then I will try and ask doctor. And then,
Yes, yes, sure. Mm-hmm.
yeah, my second question is it what our title should be exactly referring, exactly reflect our all of objective? I mean, like
Okay,
our
fine.
title should be include the whole, the all 4 objective.
Yes, yes. If let's now, definitely your objective will be based on what you are going to do, right? Now, my suggestion is, okay, when you have outlined your project objective, okay, now I need to write something. When first, once you have outlined your 4 objectives, okay, what I want you to do is form your uh okay, not form, reorganize your secondary data set according to your objective, just to give you clear and correct perception of what are you going to do for each objective, okay, according to your objective. Let's say for example, example number 1, to investigate the consumption of uh, fuel. I think let's say this one, I use this, my suggested what we call objective, to investigate the fuel consumption in meter cube among the citizens of Brunei. So look at your data. Go back to your data. Okay. Now, if you're talking about petroleum, then you are talking about this one. From here to here. Now, you have big question mark. I want to investigate, is it for all from here until here, or should I focus from 2010 until 2019? That means you are talking about 10 years data. Okay? If so, then make sure your second objective, third objective, fourth objective also referring to the 10 years that you have specified. Means that you are concentrating for 10 until 2019. Now, to go back to my my intention just now, the first objective, you want to what we call investigate the consumption of all Brunei from 2010 until 2019. Then you are going to talk about the whole types of petroleum involved in your data set. Okay, so what can you say from that is that you will have the general objective for the first objective. Because it include regardless of what types of petroleum, you will have from 2010 until 2019, what will be the usage of that particular, what we call data. And for this one, you will have to identify, should you use your graphical or numerical. Okay, now, as I said before, from the 4 objectives, you must have the mixture of graphical and numerical, at least one numerical, okay, or at least a combination of 2 graphical, 2 numerical. So what can I say from this is that to help you out, if you don't know what to do, okay, you can come up with the general one. Once you have got your general objective, then go specific into one by one of your specific objectives from the broader perspective of your data set. I think that's how you can do, because from the broader perspective, you narrow down in terms of specific analysis that you need to highlight for your project. So for the second objective, since you have petroleum and gas, the second objective can easily copy paste your first objective, but it is based on your gas only. Okay, but since gas only include one data, so you have all the data in terms of numerical value. This one, the last one here. Okay, so you can use numerical, for example. Okay, you can show the trend. You can use scatter plot, for example, if suitable, because the graphical form that you choose will direct you, will give you the hint of how you can discuss your findings of your that particular project objective. Okay, then okay, from broader one you go to narrow down to the gas only. Then from for the third objective and the fourth objective, okay, it's either you for this group he used the automotive and non-automotive. He used the cluster. The group classified into two, non-automotive and automotive transport. So it will go back which of the what we call petroleum will be used for automotive versus non-automotive. Okay, so you can investigate how does the automotive and non-automotive in terms of usage from 2010 until 2019. Okay, so you will have to try and error. Okay, whether this particular what we call graphical is suitable or is not suitable, so you have to choose. So that is where you do the investigation in order to highlight what would be your third objective. Okay, and then the last one, you can think of the last objective. And as I mentioned earlier, each objective will give you different focus of the information that you wish to reveal. Okay, and from one objective to another objective, there will be no repetition of similar, no repetition of graphical or numerical data presentation. Okay, so means that you have to make sure from one objective to another objective, you are not repeating, you are not using the same bar chart, second objective bar chart, third objective bar chart. Okay, it will not be interesting that way. Okay, I hope I am answering your question just now. Okay, now for the data description, a lot need to be improved for this group. Okay, the way you describe your data, if you go back to the rubric, you need to talk about the target population. Okay, data description. Okay, target population. Okay, what is your sample? What is your sample size? That it will be your N. And then what is your variable? Okay, is it categorical? Is it numerical? Okay, and then what else? And then data source. Okay, so SOURCE. Okay, data source. So for this particular case, I don't want to see this in your, not in your project objective. Project background. Project background. Okay, so all these will not be included in your project background. So that's why in your project background, at least you give a good description of what are the project is all about. Okay, any significant information that need to be included should be included as short as short and concise as possible. No, I don't want to exaggerate because your second slide is for your project objective and your project background should be in one slide. So it will not contain long what we call paragraph for the project background. So for this particular case, go back to your this one. Okay, this one is still what we call vague. It's not clear. Okay, not clear. So let us go back to the data. How can we identify our variable, our data or whatsoever? Now, we know that our data is referring to domestic consumption of oil and gas 2007 until 2019. Now, where does my variables lies? Class? Can someone try? What are the variables involved in this particular data set? Okay, if I can simplify it for you, this one is your variable. Okay, this one is your variable. Okay, so in this one is what we call, what do we call this variable class? Yeah? You have two variables here. Variable for oil consumption, and second one is gas consumption. Right. Now here is your what we call a data. So now your variables, oil consumption and gas consumption is considered as categorical or numerical class. So you think of your own. Okay. What was that?
Categorical.
Yes, categorical. And for your years, can we order them? Right, we order them, right? We can order them because it is based on year. 2010 should come before 2011. So 2011 should come first before 2012. It is in order. Okay, so what can you say about your third variable? So this is your third variable. So class, that's how you identify your variable. Once you know what is your variable, think of what is your variable type. Is it categorical? Is it numerical? Okay, so you have to identify so that it will be clearer for you to discuss. Now, what is my sample in this case, class? What is my sample? Or target population first? Okay, so I don't want to answer the question because this is someone's project. So but I can give you a hint. Okay, so this data is your hint for your target population and target sample. We know that, okay, fine, we know this is from Brunei. Now, the target population definitely from Brunei. But exactly what is your target population that you are talking about? It lies in your project, what we call data set title. Okay, it lies in your data set title. What is the sample size? The sample size for petroleum RON 97 for 2007 is 213.2 multiplied by 1000 meter cube of petroleum. So this is my N for petroleum. And for my overall N, which is referring to this all, so that will be your N for oil consumption, which include all this. Okay, that's how we define. So if you are talking about your sample N, specific by year, so you are looking towards this column, one by one. Okay, but if you are talking about your petroleum RON 97 for, let's say, 2007 until 2019, so you will have from here to here. So how many years here? From 2007 to 2019. 4 plus 9. So you get 23 years of N. If you are talking about N for petroleum RON 97. Okay, from 2007 until 2019. So your N will be the summation of all this value. Okay, so that's how you figure out your target population, sample size, and then your variable. So you will have to study your secondary data set a bit longer because you need to understand what is being discussed in your data set. The same if you go to your what we call other data set. So if you are talking arrival by nationality and purpose of visit, so you have to go back to the root of your discussion, what country we are talking about. Okay, is it for what we call that coming in, or is it coming in and go out as well? Okay, so because why? This information will be used for you in your what we call analysis for each of your objectives. Okay, so I hope I didn't take it too much on on how you can describe your project one in terms of title, objective, and how should you go into your specific objective from your group data given to you. Okay, any other question, class?
Doctor,
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can a project have more than one sample size due to the different objective require different sample?
It depends on your objective.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's possible to have more than one sample size, right?
Sample, yeah. If you wish, okay, let's say if you wish to specify your sample size, if you have already decided, okay, for this particular topic, I am going to focus on this particular data, the one that I put in this. So this one will be your focus. So your sample size is either your sample size will include the whole value here, right? Okay, so because we are talking about in terms of thousand of meter cube, okay, meter cube, okay, so this is what we call the data that you get from each of the specific petroleum type. Okay, so the sample size, okay, so the sample size in this case is impossible to be known because what we have, the data is referring to the usage of your what we call usage of petroleum and gas, oil consumption and gas consumption for this particular data. So in this particular case, I'm not sure how you can tell about the sample size. If not specifically talk about the sample size, just I think you may focus on the sample. What is your sample for your data? Okay? Because yes.
What if like this? For the this example, if for the first objective, yeah, it need the sample from 2010 to 2019. But for the second objective, maybe it just need the latest year for the oil shipment.
What do you mean by latest? Latest means 2019 only?
Yes, it only need 2019 only.
2019.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
Do you have any specific reason why 2019 only?
Yeah, but that's for my case, not this case.
Okay.
Uh,
If in your case, okay, what data set is that? Can I look through your data set?
yeah, sure.
It's about what?
My data set is about population by age group, sex, and ethnic group. From 2010 to
Population, which one?
okay, population by age group.
Is it this one? Is it this one? Ethnic.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so
Okay.
in your case, in this case, because you have many things you have very many options to do for this particular case, because you can focus to certain what we call certain perspective of what you need to highlight. If let's say you are talking about 2019 only, but you need to highlight it, because you know why? Because if you're talking about 2019 only, okay, let's say you are talking about 2019 only, okay, and based on your data, what do you want to focus? Is it ethnicity or category, citizen category, or age or gender?
Gender, because I want to talk about the natural sex ratio. Natural sex ratio.
Okay, so
for the year,
if
which is
you are talking about gender,
yeah,
so you have female and you have, for example, you have male, and we are talking about 2019 only. And if you are talking about male and female, and you want to cross with what? Only the frequency only? Is it frequency only?
what I want to investigate is about the health condition of the natural sex ratio. Health condition because there's
natural what? Natural what just now?
Natural sex ratio.
Natural
Sex ratio.
Racial, ethnicity. Racial means ethnicity. Do you mean ethnicity?
I changed the word. Natural
Racial.
gender ratio.
Okay. Okay, gender, ethnicity.
Gender
Okay,
ratio.
because you have gender, male, female. What was that? Racial, you have Bumiputra, Chinese, India, others. So you have 4, Bumiputra, Chinese, Indian, others. So you need to look into for female. So how many of them are M? How many of them are, for example, maybe stack? Okay, male. Bumiputra, Chinese, Indian, others. You want to do that? I don't have any objection as long as it support the overall objective of your project. I don't mind. As long as you can highlight. You know what, class? When you do your project objective, when you come up with your project objective, once you have do your analysis for project objective number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, at the end of your project, it should give your audience the idea of your analysis from your project, so that they can what we call understand the importance and the meaningful information resides in your data set that you have here. Okay, but for this case, class, if I were to be you, since you have too many things can be done from this particular data set, you can focus for a different age group, you can focus for different gender, you can focus for citizen category, or you can focus for the ethnicity. So you have a lot, but the direction for the overall project should be what we call come in one story, not SO. When I don't want to be at the end of the presentation, I cannot relate your objective 1 with objective 2. objective 3 and objective 4 means that even though they are independent to each other, but the story are telling about single story that not relate to one another. Okay, so this is what statistics is all about. When you have data, you want to make sense of that data in terms of what are the meaningful information. As long as you give the meaningful information accordingly to your objective, core objective, and your methods of analysis, graphical and numerical, I don't have any objection. But everything must be clear and concise. Okay? Because based on your submission of project planning, in fact, I can show you this particular project. So this one is need to be done. A lot need to be done. Okay, this is not objective. Okay, so you have to rephrase your words of objective to what? To investigate, to study, to what? Find any objective, suitable objective words to reflect your objective. Okay, and when I say the whole story, at the end of your presentation, from this particular 4 objectives, we can come to one what we call to one story, okay, that reflect your data set. Okay, if at the end of your presentation I don't get what we call important message from your presentation, means that something wrong somewhere in your project objective. Okay, I know that you have to come up with different objectives, whereby you need to make sure that each objective will give different method and analysis graphically or numerically. But the end story should wrap up the whole data set that you have. Based on your focus, definitely based on your focus of your background. Okay, in your background. Okay. Okay, let's see sample number 3, road accident in Brunei. So in terms of the formation of project background, I would rather have in what we call in paragraph. I don't want in terms of number, because we are talking about background. So I wish to have in terms of paragraph. Okay, we study, don't use we, this project. Okay, this project is about what? Okay, this project reflect accident in Brunei for the year, blah, blah, blah. Okay. It is important to investigate the behavior of driver and safety. What you are talking about safety? Is safety can be discussed? Is this can be discussed from your data? If no, eliminate. Okay, don't talk about safety. You're talking about accident only. But if you're talking about the impact of accident to the safety, based on your comment somewhere in your analysis later, then it's okay. Okay, but safety of vehicle is not something that you can talk from your secondary data. Okay, so use this project is about what, and this project discuss about what. So variable, this one is description. Okay, not inside your background. To identify the frequency of in the number of road accident in Brunei from year 2000 until 2019, to determine the probability of experiencing. How would you know? This is cannot. If you investigate the reason, can you outline the reason? Is the reason inside? Is the reason available in your data? If yes, okay. If no, don't. Okay. To analyze the number of road accidents based on this week. Okay, can. This one also can. So as I mentioned just now, go to broader, then go into specific. Broader first, second, third, and port. Okay. So the topic road accident in Brunei also can accepted. Sample number 4. Now, this particular student, okay, the background, number of teachers in government sector by level of education and sex. You are talking about what? So the story is incomplete. Where do you talk about this? Where? Who? Okay, why? How? Relate to this particular question so that it can be your background of your project. Where do you talk about this one? And if I'm not mistaken, if you refer to this particular data, this data is actually from, if you go to this particular, what we call website, this is referring to Brunei. Okay, Brunei. So means that you have to talk about, relate to Brunei. Okay, what about Brunei that you need to highlight from the particular data that you have here? Okay, so you have number of teachers in government sector by level of education. So you have pre-primary, primary, secondary, technical, tertiary, grant. You have grant total. So here also you have a lot of data. So you have different variable types in your data set. Okay, as well as you have the years for your data. So please make sure based on your data, you include the information so that your background have some soul of the problem that you are talking about. Don't just simply talk about the things that you have in your data set without relating them to the actual, what we call, what happened in the country. Okay, so you can go back to your to the comments that I have commented in sample 1 and sample 2 and sample 3 just now. Okay, so these are among the so this team has come up with different suggestions. Okay, but it turned out that for the first objective, okay, and the second objective and the fourth objective almost the same. Okay, no what we call numerical. Okay, no numerical is what we call data presentation. Think of some one or two that may be suitable to your data set. Okay, so don't put everything with using the graphical what we call data presentation. Okay, later remember class, you have your objective, you have your analysis, you are going to illustrate, you are going to describe, you are going to comment. Okay, you are going to describe, comment, and everything. So how do you comment is based on the things that you have inside your analysis. What will be the things that you need to highlight? If you have this, what can you say? For the year 2019, almost the same as 2011 and 2012. Is there any interesting stories that you need to highlight here? I don't think you can highlight. Okay, but here can. Okay, because we are talking about, but what happened here? All male. Where is the female? Okay. Okay, go back and see. This one, no illustration of the project. So that would be it for the project discussion. So do you have any question, class?
Dr. Noor has a question.
Yes.
Regarding just now some mentioned about the population by age group.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Was wondering if that for that topic, right? You can do so many things, yes. But what if we would like to consider in terms of the ratio between the male and female in a single year only for the first objective? But then for the rest of the objectives, let's say objective 2, we are not limited to only that single year. So can we, for that case, could we have 2 sample sizes?
Okay. Okay. Sample size is based on the year that you include in your analysis. Okay. For the oil consumption just now, it's about the usage, the consumption in terms of meter cube. But in terms of for this particular data, we are talking about exact value, okay, in terms of thousand. So in this case, we are talking about your sample for 2010 for age group 0 to 4, male, Bumi Putra, there will be 942,030. So here it will be in terms of thousand, it will be 94203. Oh, right? If you multiply by 1,000, right?
Correct.
Okay, so that would be actual. This is your sample size. You can use this as your sample size, but this is your number of sample for male age group. This for 2010, and for Bumi Putra. Okay, but if you want to have your first objective for single year, I was wondering is what is happening in that year that become your reason to choose that 1 year to be your analysis. Is it because it is the latest? Okay, fine. If it is the latest, why you choose 2019? Is there anything with 2019? Is it because of for example, pandemic, the number is reduced, so you wish to investigate whenever we have what happened if there was a pandemic. Okay, the number of what we call in this particular case is the population become reduced because the pandemic, due to the pandemic. So you wish to see for that particular year what would be the ratio for male and female. But to me, since you have this big data set, I would suggest go for broader what we call comparison. Okay, maybe ratio for example, based on ethnicity. Okay, ratio based on ethnicity instead of male and female for 1 year. Okay. Hello.
Okay. Thank you, doctor.
Hello.
I hear that.
Okay.
Thank you, doctor.
Okay. Thank you. I think my. Okay. Any more question? Any more question?
No.
Any more question, class? Okay. If no questions, then I want you to look at your look back at your project planning. Take my suggestion, my comment from your friends' planning, and correct them and resubmit them for me to check one by one. Okay. Since we are going to what we call, since we are going to go into chapter 2 next week. Okay, we are going to start with chapter 2 next week. So I wish everyone should have your draft ready by next week so that I can check. Your submission will be on 18 May. So it will be soon actually. Don't think that you have much time to do your what we call your project 1 because it will give you 20 marks. It should be a simple project, but it requires your deep understanding and your statistical thinking of choosing which should be the most suitable one that you need to use to represent your objective. Okay, so if that's so, I think I'll just finish the lecture because I have another lecture. So thank you very much. I will share the video. If you need the video, I will share. Otherwise, I'll just keep on my own. Okay, thank you very much, and I'm really sorry for having that temper just now because I'm really sorry. I didn't do that last time. Okay, this is my first time doing that. Okay, thank you very much, and see you next week. Okay, bye. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon.
It's okay, doctor. Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.